Last month, I did a video talking about the worst trends happening in motorcycling right now. I ranted about EVs and bigger engines making less power and Chinese bikes and the constant resurgence of defunct brands, and we got a ton of feedback. Most of the sentiments highlighted in that video seemed to resonate with a lot of you who are getting kind of tired of the weird state of the motorcycle industry and may be a tad fearful on what things are going to look like in another 10 years or so. But of course, we got some comments from people who were less enthusiastic. We had people saying, Papa Yam is too cynical, Yammy is too negative, Yam stole my girlfriend, so I'm gonna watch Fortnite instead. So today, I'm gonna flip the script and bring a little positivity to the feed. I'm gonna talk about the best motorcycle trends happening right now. So sit back and relax, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get into it. One of the greatest trends right now is the influx of highly elevated and value-driven beginner motorcycles. I've talked about this before in recent videos, but there has really never been a better time to get into motorcycling. Sure, used motorcycle prices are still kind of out of whack, as are car prices and home prices, the price of bread at the grocery store, and the price of your mom's OnlyFans page. But the amount of value you can get from a brand new beginner motorcycle for less than $6,000 is kind of insane. It wasn't that long ago the beginner bikes had dinky little twins, rudimentary components, looked kind of ugly, and made like 26 horsepower. But now, there are so many beginner bikes that are packed with features, tech, and have really stylish looks. Free market capitalism at work, baby. Competition and the profit motive are making a better world for motorcyclists. Not only are beginner bikes offering more value, they're also more diverse than ever. Yeah, you've got your Ninja 500s and CF Moto 450s waging war to be crowned the best beginner sport bike on the market, but we also have cool single-cylinder thumpers that have the look and feel of premium motorcycles as well, and they're my pick for this category, to be honest. The Husqvarna Svartpilen 401, recently updated, has been a venerable entry-level bike for years now, offering the cyberpunk scrambler look, adjustable WP suspension, switchable ABS, bi-brake brakes, and all that other good stuff. And I said, it just got updated for 2024 using the liquid-cooled 398cc single from the updated 2024 Duke 390. This stylish scrambler beginner bike segment has become so popular that even Triumph has brought out new entry-level bikes to the market. The Speed 400 and Scrambler 400 stand to blow bikes like the Royal Enfield Scram 411 right out of the water. This thing is ridiculous value for money. The liquid-cooled 398cc single that powers each of these bikes makes 40 horsepower and 28 foot-pounds of torque. These bikes don't need to be bombarded with every piece of superfluous tech like some Chinese bike. They've got Triumph fit and finish, a good torquey engine, classic style, and the Speed 400 can be had for $4,999. Which is completely crazy. What other non-Chinese brand new motorcycle can you get for under $5,000? A Royal Enfield 350 and an MT-03 maybe? Triumph is really coming to the beginner bike segment correct, and I love it. I love how many good beginner bikes there are these days, and I hope to see it continue. I also appreciate the trend of designing torque-forward motorcycles. Sure, it can be a bit of a double-edged sword. Like, it isn't the most exciting thing to see manufacturers make a middleweight parallel twin and drop it into every bike in their lineup. But across the board, from beginner bikes to hyper naked bikes, a motorcycle that makes accessible and usable power that's designed for the street is really the direction I like to see the industry going. Yes, there are still diehard sport bike fast boys that cringe at the thought of any engine design that is different than an inline 4, and look, I'm as sad as any of you to see classics like the R6 and the R1 go by the wayside, but the realist in me is excited about what's to come, because having accessible torque and power across a greater portion of the rev range is just a lot more practical to ride. There's a lot more room to play around with the gearbox compared to peaking inline 4s, where torque and power is limited to the top half of the rev range, and for a long time, having a 1000cc sport bike was just the mark of a Giga Chad fast boy, when in reality, it makes very little sense as a road-going motorcycle, and I think it's cool that manufacturers are recognizing that. Sure, emissions restrictions have a lot to do with it, but inline 4 race bikes just aren't good street bikes, and the V4 engine is obviously a tour de force in motorcycle racing, and a hopped-up twin or a triple is plenty rowdy for street squidding, and I think more and more riders and manufacturers alike are realizing that about 120-ish horsepower with like 60 to 70 foot-pounds of torque that's accessible all the way in the rev range is optimal for street use. You got the Street Triple, MT-09, Duke 990, and for less experienced riders, there's the MT-07, Trident 660, or even the GSX GSX-8R, which we have as a current giveaway bike on YamiNoob.co. Shameless plug. The influx and popularity of fun, torquey middleweight bikes really is the trajectory I'd like to see the industry going. But did someone say giveaway bike? Yes, I do have one of those. GSX-8R from Suzuki is up for grabs on YamiNoob.co. This thing is super torquey and fun. It's way better than I thought it would be. It's so fun to get through the gearbox. Between like 2,000 and 5,000 RPM, it's seriously punchy. Members of the website get automatic entries based on their tier level along with exclusive content. But you can also get entries by purchasing merch, and we've actually just launched 3 new designs for your viewing pleasure. We've got this 90s NASCAR tee, which is pretty sweet. It's got this beautiful Busa on there with all the 90s nostalgia you could want. We've also got the stretch Gixxer tee because I hate to break it to you boys, size does matter. So let everyone know you've got going on down low with the Gixxer tee. And lastly, we've got this Death by Boost metal tee because you know there's nothing more nihilistic than spending tens of thousands of dollars to turbocharge a bike knowing perfectly well it will explode at a moment's notice. Yeah, you might have seen my Turbo Busa's head on the Bearded Mechanic channel. Not good. So head over to YamiNoob.co to check all of those out. They come in 4 different colors, and I think they're pretty darn sweet. While you're over there, sign up for our newsletter to get all the raunchy motorcycle content beamed into your inbox, and consider becoming a member for Discord access and even more perks. Thanks so much for being a part of this community. I am immensely grateful for your viewership. Now let's get back to the show. As motorcycle tech and engineering continues to advance, we get safer bikes with more advanced rider aids like cornering ABS, traction control, and all that good stuff that helps keep us safe when we need it. Yeah, it's cool to be able to turn it off when you don't want the digital fairy godmother putting a damper on your hooliganism, but it's really great to have when you need it. And as motorcycles become safer, gear has become safer. One piece of gear that I've started implementing into my daily riding, and I'm excited to see growing in accessibility and popularity, are airbag vests. Old school airbag vests use a tethered system that activates a CO2 cartridge to inflate the vest once the rider has been pulled away from the bike with a considerable amount of force. The inflation of the vest stabilizes your head in the helmet, preventing it from aggressively slamming from side to side, thusly protecting your neck. The inflated vest, of course, protects your spine as well because, as you know, that is a pretty crucial piece of the human biology. We all know we need to protect our head with a proper helmet while riding. Why don't we take it seriously when it comes to our neck and spine? Because according to Fortnine's recent video, protective armor on a motorcycle doesn't do anything. Maybe that was a bit of a contrarian take in my opinion, as common sense would dictate that falling on the ground without armor would result in more injury than falling with it, and I'm sure many crash survivors would agree. But anyway, I do stand by the fact that airbag vests do elevate your protection to a serious level, which is why I wear one. Since the tethered airbag vest, the technology is improved to include electronic vests, which use GPS sensors and accelerometers to detect moments of pronounced changes in speed, velocity, and orientation to determine a motorcycle crash and thusly deploy the airbag. And since this technology has been in use for over 15 years now, the efficacy has improved remarkably since the early stages. As airbags grow in popularity, more models are easily integrated into traditional motorcycle riding jackets, which does away with the point of an inconvenience of the previously plagued device. I personally use the Alpine Stars Tech Air 5 airbag vest that I can comfortably wear beneath my normal riding jackets. I feel a lot safer having an extra layer of protection to prevent a spinal injury in the event of a crash. I've been using it for like 8 or 9 months now, and I've had no issues with accidental inflations or anything, but I haven't crash tested it. It's really cool to see this technology improve and the pricing become more affordable, and more people taking that extra level of precaution to stay protected on their bike by using an airbag vest. Something I'm really excited about in the motorcycle industry and hope to see continue growing in popularity is the accessibility and prevalence of motorcycle racetracks and higher education courses. It is of course awesome to see more riders investing the time and resources into furthering their riding skills. The Motorcycle Safety Foundation offers advanced rider courses which can be found almost anywhere in the United States, and there are of course more specialized and premier schools like the California Superbike School and Yamaha Champ School. There are more racetracks opening up as well that offer classes and provide motorcyclists the opportunity to exercise their squid demons in an enclosed environment at the racetrack. I have spent a ton of time at Eagles Canyon Raceway, where I was a member, my local track here in Texas, where I've done it all from track days to club racing, and we've also seen more luxury motorsport parks opening as well, which is cool to see. G2 Motorsports Park here in Texas brings that elevated and luxurious experience to track riding. Yeah, it's kind of just a club for rich guys with Porsches, but hey, we can put motorcycles on there too. That's pretty good. Or Flat Rock Motorsports Park in Tennessee is like a whole luxury motorsports club that looks like it will rival the swankiest private golf clubs in America, and we might even get a MotoGP race there in a few years because Liberty Media now owns MotoGP and they want to bring more of a presence to America, so I'm all about that. And while these might not be feasible options for every single rider, the increased prevalence of motorcycle tracks and added awareness and opportunity for education will only help grow the sport further. But as a small caveat, there does seem to be some people trying to detract from this trend. You've seen Laguna Seca neighbors trying to shut down the track, so kind of a double-edged sword here. And the last trend I'd like to talk about today is the way that the retro category is changing. I'm glad to see that the cafe racer thing seems to be dying out. And while I think those UJM cafe racer builds that were always trending on social media did a lot to introduce new people to riding, I am glad that most of those guys have realized how much more fun it is to ride a relatively modern bike with fuel injection, upside-down forks, and good brakes. As a side note, back in 2010, the way that I was introduced to motorcycling was I actually saw a really cool Triumph Cafe Racer build that my buddy showed to me at the time, and that led me to the Triumph website where I saw the Triumph Daytona 675R, and I fell in love, and here we are today. I mean, Triumph discontinued the Thruxton, so that has to be indicative of something. As I mentioned in the newest Modern Classics video, the motorcycle industry has come so far that classic and retro applies to so many other eras of motorcycling beyond British roadsters and old UJM cafe bikes. Bikes like the Honda Transalp or the Moto Guzzi Mandello sort of stylistically harken back to 80s touring bikes, or how the modern fully fared parallel twin sport bikes we see today sort of pay homage to older street-oriented sport bikes that actually had comfortable ergonomics and detuned engines for torque before every sport bike sold was just a race replica. It's cool to see the way that manufacturing are taking influence from other classic eras of motorcycling beyond just the 60s and 70s. I feel like the bobber thing is kind of dying out too, which I like to see because it's just kind of getting stale. Every cruiser being sold as a bobber with all black components and a chunky front tire is just kind of passé at this point. I feel like riders are starting to lose interest in that, and manufacturers will eventually move away from that as well. Even Royal Enfield, the retro bike king, is making a liquid-cooled engine for the new Himalayan and seemingly eking their way into other styles of bikes as well. I think retro nostalgia will always influence motorcycles and attract certain riders, but I'm excited to see the way that manufacturers are able to draw inspiration from varying eras of motorcycling beyond cafe bikes, scramblers, and bobbers. Thanks for making it through. What's your favorite trends in motorcycling? Viral squid reels on Instagram, middleweight adventure bikes? I think we could probably do away with some of those if you want the truth. If you ride an R6, make sure to blow up the comments about how I'm wrong and parallel twin engines suck. Be sure to check out yamanoob.co for more exclusive content. Check out the new merch we just dropped and get entered to win that 2024 Suzuki GSX 8R. Thanks again for watching. I will catch you later. Fact: allodoxophobia is the fear of other people's opinions. I think a lot of you on YouTube have that. Goodbye.
Keep watching, Yami!